Hey, everybody. All right, we're a couple minutes early as usual, just to make sure we don't have any hiccups. And can anybody hear me out there? Let me know in the comments, make sure that everybody can hear me. All right. Hey, Scott, how are you doing, my friend? Can you hear everything that I'm saying right now? Awesome. Sounds great. So a couple more minutes and then we'll get started. I know some people are just probably going to be tuning in here in just a little bit, but I like to be a little bit early. Hi, Tony. All right. Oh, no problem, Daniel. You got to do what you got to do, man. Just check back with us next time. So, Anthony, can you use that link if you wanted to come on that I sent you? Let's see if there you are. Hey, I think you're muted. You're still muted.
There we go. How's that?
You're not muted, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
I'll sort
Let me see here. Nope. Can anybody hear Tony? You can hear him? Why can't I hear him?
Oh, can you hear me? Oh, okay.
That's unusual. I wonder why I can't hear him. Hold on one second.
It's not a bad thing with my Brummie accent.
Very strange that I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Maybe I need
Weird.
headphones. Give me just 1 second. Give me just 1 second. This is why I like to come on early, because just in case we have like hiccups here. Let's see. So anyway, we got Tony on from Greedy 3D here, and give me just 1 second. I'm going to exit right here real quick and get my earbuds. Be right back. All right, let's see if we can hear you now, Tony.
Can you hear my Brummie accent?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Yay! Wonderful. Hi, Henry. Good morning from me. Good evening for you, I think.
Absolutely. So, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. My body clock's a bit. Why are you awake at midnight when you're not on nights?
Right, I get you. So,
I'm good.
Welcome aboard. And so we got just a few people here right now. There's a lot of people that kind of catch on after a while. People kind of join on with us and everything right now. But everybody, this is Tony. He has a channel, a YouTube channel called Greedy 3D. And Tony, why don't you tell us a little bit about your channel, what you do over there, where you're from, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay. So I'm Tony. I'm from Blighty. I'm from the old UK, Worcestershire, little suburb just about 10 miles outside of Birmingham. Um, I've been doing Greedy 3D now for around about 2 years ish. I've been making models for a lot longer than that since I was a wee bairn, a young lad, making Airfix kits and painting them up, and then moving on to some of the Tamiya models and the Halcyon models and the alien stuff when I was an older teenager. But 2 years ago, I was introduced to the world of 3D printing, um, and it just blew me away. And anyone who's into the hobby will know exactly what I mean. That first print you did, and I remember mine. It was a Batman bust, and oh my! When you realise you can turn bits of plastic into amazing models and sculptures, and then paint them up. So that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. Greedy 3D's going from strength to strength, thankfully, getting some good feedback from the viewers, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So thank you for having me here,
I
Henry.
appreciate it. So, if anybody wants to check out your channel, definitely go over there. I will put a link in the description and
Thank you.
everything, and so that everybody can find you over there. Good stuff over there, Tony. I mean, you're making some really killer stuff. I just seen your video today on the Winter Soldier that you did.
Yeah, I've
Very nice.
got that right here. Yeah, thanks to you. That one was that's inspiration came from what you did actually, which I think is good because it's not a massive community, so we do kind of feed off each other quite a bit, and it's
Right.
nice. It's nice to do that. It's nice to be part of the group.
Absolutely. So, so what we're going to kind of talk about tonight is different Patreons and stuff like that, because I know that everybody is part of one, or most of everybody is part of one, and we want to talk about maybe some of the ones maybe you might be part of, or some ones that you recommend, and we'll kind of get some Q&A with some of the people on here. We actually have some really good questions that are asked by the viewers here. So I guess we'll get started. We just have just a handful of people on here right now, but again, a lot of people kind of jump on a little bit, during the whole thing, during the middle of it. I did send a couple of more invites to a couple of people, so they may hop on, they may not. Kind of depends if they show up or not. So we'll see. So everybody pretty much knows about one of the patrons, I think, Tony, that you use and I use, and that's Wicked 3D. And with the 3D Berserk and also their Star Wars Patreon, that was probably the lead one that I use. I do a lot of my models after their files and stuff. And I think that they have a lot going on right now for the price. And that's a couple of things we want to talk about too is, how much of these Patreons cost? Because I got to researching a little bit earlier, and some of them are ridiculous. And then, most of them are relatively inexpensive, but it does give us a huge opportunity to, go back to our childhood in some ways and print out some wonderful characters and comic models and all kinds of stuff. And again, it's being a part of a huge community, and I think everybody feeds off of each other, like you said earlier. That and this is what we do. I mean, you and I both we have our own channel, but I think we thoroughly enjoy it, and this is something that I really want people to do when they tune in to myself. And I'm sure I could speak on your behalf that I want people to get something out of it, but at the same time, I want them to enjoy the channel and what we teach here and what we show. And that's very important to me. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I pick a lot of things up, and there's a lot of things to pick up in this hobby. You learn your trade by watching others, and you learn your trade by, and I've always said this, by making mistakes and doing the learning the eyes, and it all starting with a white background and a black dot, and then you realize, hang on a minute, there's got to be a better way of doing it, and we feed off each other, and that's the fun thing about it.
Absolutely. So what kind of patrons are you subscribed to right now, if any?
So yeah, I'm well, Wicked for definite. I try to keep it down because obviously there's a cost implication, as you quite rightly pointed out, and I do have to keep that in mind. But Sanix, Wicked are the two at the moment. Looking at Berserk, looking at others, but at the moment those are the two that I use.
Okay. So like one that I found yesterday, I mean, I found it a while back, but I actually joined it yesterday, and it's actually kind of amazing. Is Nico Industries. So if you're into cosplay, the guy has like 800 plus files over there for $10 a month, and just like kind of like Wicked, he's always putting new stuff in there. But he's got a lot of statues, a lot of cosplay, helmets, weapons, all kinds of things. And I was just very blown away that I think he had like $10 a month. You get a couple of files, but now he's opened up his whole entire catalog, and it's just overwhelming. I mean, at the stuff that you can actually print out. So for bang for the buck, I mean, between Wicked and Nico, that's probably the two that stand out with me. Now I like Sanix, but what I generally do with them is, again, like you had said, there's a cost involved, so I want to keep that kind of down. But some of the files that I see on there, I just outright buy them, purchase them, and print them, and I might make a video, I might not. So it just really kind of depends. But there are a lot out there. So I mean, anybody that has any recommendations to anyone else, I mean, definitely post in the comments. Let us know what you're part of. I mean, it's again, it's being part of a community, and kind of supporting one another, and just finding out what everybody does. It's kind of curious, like Tony said. I mean, in this industry, in this hobby, what we do, you have to be a sponge. You have to soak up everything. And if you don't, and you're just kind of a one trick pony, I mean, you tend to get burned out, or you kind of just don't want to do it anymore after a while. So definitely, and that's what I try to teach my Patreon members. We all get in there in our Discord, and we just really definitely feed off of each other, show each other's work, have good conversations and stuff. And so definitely pretty neat. So we got a couple of people on here. It seems like they're sub to Wicked, 3D Berserk, Sanix, Star Wars 3D, Creative Geek. Yes. So I think his name is Michael Bellaris. He's the person through Creative Geek. I've talked with Michael a couple of times. He's got a very unique Patreon, does a lot of fantasy characters, different takes on different comic characters and everything, but he is very good as well. So again, we got Tony on board for you guys coming on. Greedy 3D. I think you even have a Patreon, do you not, Tony?
Yeah, well, it's something I've just literally started. It is very, very early days, but it is something I want to try and expand on, and so I've set that up, and I'm just waiting for the crowds to arrive, as they say.
Let me tell you, it's a slow burn. It really
Yeah.
is. Because I think a lot of times once you gather a following on your channel and stuff, and I know you do, and I do. We reach out to people and we talk with them, and anytime people have any questions, like with
Mhm.
me, I mean, I'm more than happy to help them. And I think once we show them that sort of thing and kind of win them over and stuff like that, that's when the support comes and stuff. And I've just got a small following with my Patreon, but I'm so thankful for each and every one of those guys. We keep each other on our toes and stuff over there with sometimes with the conversations that we have and everything. And that's important. I mean, with Patreons like myself and maybe with you, I really don't have anything to offer other than, like
Mm.
product, like support, help people out and do things. And that's what I like to do. I like to, when it comes to printing and painting, I mean, I've always enjoyed helping each other out and stuff. So that's my gig right there.
Yeah, I totally
Um,
agree with that, Henry. Absolutely. I'm the same as you. All I can offer is the fact that you're part of the group and we can help each other out. We don't get free prints or anything as yet. Never know what the future holds, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
so Frag here, he's one of my Patreon members. He is itching at me to do some cell shading statue
Mm.
tutorials.
I'd love
Uh,
to do it.
yeah, and it's on its way, my friend. So definitely that is a style that I've always been intrigued by ever since I was, coming up as a teenager and everything. You look at the comic books, and I want
Mm.
the model to look like a comic book, but I'm more into the hyper realistic type painting. But I love to do all kinds of different styles and stuff, and that would definitely be one of them. So let's see who else we got. Galactic Armory is into, they do Star Wars cosplay props over there. So I've seen that guy over there. He does some unique work. He does a lot of stuff, a lot of stormtroopers, clone troopers, and I
Nice.
think he's actually done a couple of life size. I think he did one of the Halo characters in a life size, and that's got to be pretty good take on that. So man, that's I've seen that thing and it's massive. Are you planning on doing any type of life size printing there, Tony?
Um, well, I've done a few. The only life size things that I've done a Captain America shield. I've done a Halo
I
helmet.
see him in the background there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's Bucky Barnes' arm back there. So, yeah, I way back, a friend of mine used to do the full size stormtroopers. Used to do them in plastic molding. 3D printing one would take a while. I've always wanted to do a Terminator life size, but
Oh yeah.
I think that would take a long time. But that's an ambition of mine to do that. Where I'm going to put it, that's the next problem.
So I'm waiting for the perfect Punisher, and I've been fussing at Gabriel to do one over at Wicked, and I know he's like severely busy and everything, but when that one comes out, I will definitely do a life size Punisher. And I know my wife is on here, and she's probably cringing right now. She's like, "Where are we going to put it?"
I get that.
But I will find a space for it. So absolutely.
Yeah, I'm addicted to the man cave, which is fine. I'm
Yeah.
not
Well,
inflicting my stuff in the house.
so with your work area, you have like a separate like shed house, or what is it?
Yeah, it's a summer house. So we built a summer house in the garden, insulated it all, put some power in here, and that's what I use. It used to be the third bedroom, but it just overtook that. I needed a bigger space, so I'm kind of regretting I didn't get a bigger man cave now. But I am ramming things in here and running out of space rapidly. But it's nice to just have your own space. Everybody
Yes.
needs a man cave just to get
Yes.
away, and with printing, as you know, there's a bit of a smell to the resin printing. The painting can get a bit messy, so it's nice to just have a place where you're not going to wreck anything.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I've been printing off here in part of my house, and I got a new resin in the other day, and I use it for the first time, and it's probably the most foul smelling resin I've ever used. So all my printers are off. Everything is. I'm doing no more printing right now. I'm actually working on my man cave. Matter of fact, my collection room. I'll be doing a bunch of videos on that later on, but I'm getting heat and air. I had Lowe's to deliver a bunch of supplies today, doing insulation and things like that to make it a little bit better organized and stuff in there. So I'm looking forward to expanding. It's about close to about 500 square feet.
It looks
So
amazing. Your collection room looks incredible. Is it outside, inside?
it's inside. So it's actually, I guess I've been in this house for about 16 years, and 15 years ago, I enclosed my garage and I didn't quite finish it. So I had all my collection in there, and I didn't have really any heating and air put in there, and insulation and stuff. So I just been putting it off all this time, but now that I've been doing YouTube for the past year and a half or so, printing these massive models and everything, and I've got nowhere to put them. So I've got to expand. I've
Yeah.
got to definitely, broaden my horizon in my space and stuff. And on top of that, my collectibles that I have is quite a bit
Mm.
anyway. So I'm looking forward to that. But um, hopefully we'll get some good videos out of that and everything at a later time. But and that kind of brings me to, I'm not going to say anything bad about Wiki because I love them, but I really want to broaden my horizon with different
Mm.
Patreons. And that's one thing they've kind of spoiled me. $10 a month and you get like gazillion models, and you can never paint everything. So I'm really looking forward to expanding once I get my collection room up and into other Patreons and finding out what they have to offer. Like I ran across Nico and I signed up yesterday because I want to do some cosplay stuff,
Mm.
especially for the channel. I love the whole, I can never fit into a cosplay costume,
I was going
trust
to
me.
say, do you go to Comic Cons?
I used to. I haven't been to one in a long time, but I just love the whole idea of having helmets and things like that. And because I was big into movie props and stuff
Mm.
years ago. I actually worked as a volunteer for a company. Coming up as a teenager and everything like that on the summer and stuff, and helping with movie props and stuff. And that's always been a big thing with me. So, and I think that's one thing I committed to the channel this year is to get into more stuff like that besides just comic character statues. Because we need to be a little bit more diversified for our audience and everything. So that's exactly what I'm wanting to do. But yeah, I mean, so like you got shields and arms and stuff like that hanging on your wall. I'm kind of envious because I don't have any of that. So, but definitely looking to do more stuff besides statues. So let's see what everybody else got. So we got Sakai 3D models. I'm going to be saying that I have no idea who Sakai 3D models is. Do you know who they are, Tony?
No, not heard of those, but I will be checking that out.
Absolutely. And that's why it's important you guys to put in the comments here what you recommend, because I mean this is some stuff that we need to check out. LA Figures, I have checked those guys out. There's some pretty good stuff there. And let's see, Loot Studios. So Loot Studios is a miniature company, and they got some amazing models. And that's another thing that I would love to do is to take those models and make them bigger. I'm old, so for me to paint a little small scale miniature is just obsolete now. I just don't do well with those miniatures anymore, and that's what I started painting years and years ago. So let's see, we got is it Cleo? Howdy, folks. Howdy, Cleo. Um, and we got Arch Villain. I know who Arch Villain is. They're another miniature type Patreon. Let's see, Dose 3D. Yeah. Does he have a Patreon? I think it's back now because I know there for a little bit. He took off. I think he had some personal things to take care of, but I have been seeing some of his things come um, available. So I think he's been kind of getting back in it. I've done his Punisher and his Venom in videos, and he's got a unique take on different characters and stuff, and he's got a really good Patreon over there. Okay, so Joe says Sakai mainly focuses on anime. I like their DBZ models, but there is something just a tad too cartoony about their style. So that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to touch on this live stream was what do you guys like? I mean, do you like the cartoony style? Do you like the more realistic style? Do you like dinosaurs? Do you like comic characters? Like what do you really get into, Tony? I mean, I know you've done some stuff from Wicked, you've done some stuff from Sanix, but
Mhm.
what do you really kind of want to dig into, like say for your next video?
Okay, so my sort of forte, I love Marvel. Anything Marvel related, I will have a little play with that. But you get to a point where you've pretty much done everything when it comes to Marvel. There's only so many Spider-Men you can make before
I
it
agree.
becomes a bit repetitive. So recently, over the last few months, I've got into a little bit more of fantasy stuff. CA Sculpts, although they don't do a Patreon, they've got a really good selection of models, and I did a Brekthos, which is like it's almost like a monster,
Okay.
I loved it, absolutely loved it. So I'm getting more into that bit of fantasy as well, but mostly it's characters, mostly it's superhero, aliens, Star Wars, and it's a very limited thing in those three areas, but I want to sort of expand into more sci-fi and fantasy. I think, like you, I've tried the smaller models,
Yeah.
and I think that's a niche really, and I have difficulty with the smaller models. I prefer something I can get my teeth into, something I can hold and move around
Right. Right. Yeah, I
and
have to
see what
agree
I'm
with
doing.
there.
It's a different class of, it's a different world altogether doing the
Right.
miniatures. Yeah, but Marvel, I
So
think I had to choose one. That's mine.
yeah. So Scott says that Marvel's his favorite, but if you like dragons, check out Lord of the Print. I haven't heard of them either, so I'll definitely have to check them out.
I have done a
So
dragon. Yeah, I've done one of the. I think I did Drogon, that was it with Daenerys. I'm not sure if that's your pronounce it. I was never big into Game of Thrones, but just love the dragon and her. So I'll give that one a blast. Yeah.
Yeah. So I when I first started painting, minis, a lot of the Citadel, Warhammer stuff like that, and I got dragoned out. I mean, my friends were always wanting me to paint a dragon and everything, so I did a lot of those back in the day and everything. So um, I really want to do dinosaurs. Does that
Jurassic Park. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
dinosaurs. You know, my kids were big Jurassic Park fans, and I've always loved them. Now, I tell you something that I really want to do, but I have not seen virtually anything on it, and that's Egyptian like type pharaohs and mummies and anything type with Egyptian archaeology. I'm a sucker for. I mean, when I was a kid, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be an archaeologist, and I have yet to find out any, type of company or the Patreon or whatever like that that does anything like that. So my next thing is dinosaurs. I mean, I am going to, once I get my collection room settled and my printer's back up and running, and I kind of get caught up on my paint log, which if you see behind me here, Tony, it's a lot. But I'm going to be printing some dinosaurs. I just always wanted to. It's so much
my
you
wife
can do
would
with
love
those
you.
textures.
She loves Egyptian, so I get that. I've done a Moon Knight. That's about the closest I've come to anything that
Yeah.
looks remotely Egyptian. But yeah, dinosaurs too. The Jurassic Park model where he's got the Tyrannosaurus Rex with the car. I want to go with that one with the Jeep.
Oh yeah, that's a must. I think that one
Classic.
right there. So anybody know of any dinosaur Patreons? I mean, I know they're out there because I've seen a few of them. But yeah, I mean, that's one thing I definitely want to get into. I will always be a Marvel DC comic character / whatever fan, Star Wars fan, and I will always continue doing those models. But I mean, I'm like you, there at some point you get to a point where it's like, man, I really kind of want to branch out and do something different. And with me and the channel, I really I love the views. I love that people respond to the videos and they really like them and all the likes and the comments and everything. But I do this because I enjoy it. So therefore I want to make what I want to make. I don't really go into it for views and stuff like that. I enjoy it, passing on knowledge as well as connecting with people. That's what I love to do. But I'm definitely it may get 5 views, it may get 50,000 views, but I'm definitely going to be doing some T-Rexes and stuff like that. I mean, I'm psyched for it. I really am.
I think it's really important to do things you enjoy, because if you don't do things you enjoy, it becomes monotonous, it becomes a chore,
Right.
and it can't ever be that. If it's that, you've got to change, otherwise it's going to fold, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my guys says a life-sized blue. Can you imagine doing something like that? Frag 3D, he's one of my Patreon members. He says do a life-size blue. I've seen a guy do one in FDM, like just the head, and that thing looked amazing. I mean, it looks so awesome. I couldn't do anything like that. I wouldn't know where to put it. I mean, it's bad enough I've got a 5-foot Galactus over here I have to finish, but oh my God. Like we said earlier, we print a life-size statue or something like that and know where to put it.
Yeah, I've got a battle droid at the moment sat on the floor because his head, it's a life-size battle droid head.
Oh,
Star
man.
Wars B1 sat on the floor because I've got nowhere else to put it.
Oh, geez. Yeah. I mean, these things, we love them, but we do have to have space in order to put them.
I've got a Terminator arm in a glass jar, which is underneath the desk because there's nowhere to put that. It's difficult. That's the trouble with life-size stuff.
I've got stuff all around me. You can't see it, but like I have a Punisher figure in front of me. I have a Craven in front of me. I'm printing my wife a Wednesday from Sanix.
Yeah.
That model they got over there. It's a gorgeous model. I have all this stuff around me, and I'm running out of room. So, looking to get my collection room up and running, and that way I can move everything out there.
Because like you, I keep my stuff.
I do. I don't sell anything.
No, I don't buy things to sell. Occasionally I'll do if somebody commissions me to paint something for them, I'll do that quite happily. But on the whole, I keep it. But there becomes a limit to where you can put the stuff.
Right. I mean, so everything that I pretty much print, I keep. I mean, I don't sell or whatever like that. I do, once I get the collection room up and running and get everything out there, I'll take a look at stuff. And I don't intend to sell anything. I may do giveaways, I
Mm,
mean, I really don't want
yeah,
to,
I've done
because I
that.
mean,
Yeah.
these models that I'm doing are, they're just a labor of love. I mean, I do them because I enjoy them. I don't want to sell anything. People are picky. They're very picky when you're talking about doing a model and painting it and everything. These things are hand painted, so that nothing, you can always find imperfections on
Mm,
them.
yeah.
And I just don't want to do that. So I may do some giveaways and stuff like that for some of this stuff, but I do it because I enjoy it. And I think a lot of these people on here tonight are the same way. I think they just enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, like you said, it
Mm,
seems like it becomes a business, and it's
mm.
yeah, I don't like that. So Daryl says hello. Daryl's been out with a stomach bug and just going to watch and listen, and had to say hi to his two favorite channels. How do you like that, Tony?
Hi, wonderful.
Awesome.
Hi,
I,
Daryl.
I do appreciate it, Daryl. And I know Tony does too. So,
Absolutely.
in case you guys are just coming in here, we do have Tony with Greedy 3D. He does have an awesome YouTube channel. Go over and check him out. I will put a link in the description. Uh, I think you can actually, if you have a capability of posting a comment, Tony, maybe you can put a link in there so
Yeah, I
people can
should be
see
able
it.
to.
And
I'll sort that.
yeah, definitely go over and check Tony out. He's got some wonderful stuff over there. Very nice guy. And, hey, it's one more thing that, I've always talked about, putting things in our arsenal to paint and print with just makes it more diversified. And he's definitely got some tricks of the trade over there that we can all learn from. So, absolutely, go over and check him out. So Gambody does have good Jurassic Park diorama. I think they have that diorama that you were talking about, Tony. So I'm going to go over there and check them out. If they got that, I'm definitely going to look into that. And if they got it, I'm going to definitely get them. Um, Frag says Gundam. So I have this little thing about Gundam. I just don't. I want to see bigger models. The only thing that I see now are like the plastic model kits that you can get. I don't see anybody doing like 3D files, because if they did, I would jump all over that. I mean, I love Gundam. I mean, that's one of the things that a couple of the files that I saved last night from Nico Industry. He has like these big Gundam helmets, and they're like awesome, and they're like humongous. So you're definitely going to get some Gundam helmets on the Creative Collector channel at some point. Um, let's see. And MMQ says, and we thank you for all the knowledge you give us. Thank you. And we appreciate you definitely tuning into the channels. If you haven't signed up for Tony's channel, go over and check him out.
I've
So
popped a
talk.
link in. Thank you.
So absolutely. So talk about the video that you just did, Tony. The
That one.
yeah, that one there. Winter
Okay.
Soldier.
Yeah.
Damn it, I'll get it
So
right in a minute.
so like, I don't know if you're the same, but sometimes I'm wondering what to do next. What can I do? So you look around for some inspiration. So I watched your video on using the graphite powder, and I'd never heard of it, never used it before. It kind of blew me away a little bit. So I had a little think, what could I do with it? And the first thing that came to my mind was Bucky, and Bucky's arm, and it's perfect for that. Absolutely perfect. So I used it today, or yesterday for the video for the first time. What amazing stuff is that? That's absolutely incredible.
So
So
they also have well, I actually have it here, the graphite powder, but they also have a black graphite powder that you can use it like a chrome, like a black chrome.
mm,
But I also have links for that in my descriptions as well. But yeah, that stuff is really cool. So
it's fab. Messy,
yeah,
went
it's
everywhere.
very messy. I mean, that's
And
why I said in the video, wear gloves, wear a
I didn't.
respirator. I
Yeah,
see
it
that
was
you didn't wear any gloves.
once I started, I realised I should have put my gloves on. But
Yeah,
I
that's
did
tough.
remember the face mask because gets everywhere, doesn't it? And it's very fine particles. And it was a sunny day, and it was everywhere in the room. As soon as I opened the lid, it went everywhere. So, don't do it in the house. Don't do it on your dining table. You will get shot.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's it's kind of messy, but it's a neat thing. It's again, it's one more of those things that we can use to paint our models and everything. I would love to see multicolors of that stuff, but
Yeah,
that's the
incredible.
only type of stuff that I know of right now.
I did
Um,
contemplate doing the full arm, which is just silver at the moment. But there, I did think, could I do the whole thing in that? But
yeah,
maybe, don't know. Maybe I'll make another one. Good
but
excuse.
I've seen cosplayers do entire helmets in that
Mm.
stuff, and it looked really good. And I didn't see any like issues with it coming off or getting really messy or anything. The only thing that I did see was maybe some fingerprints that you can get on there, but you can also buff those out. So
It's very
yeah,
much like Rub and Buff, isn't it? Have you used Rub
it
and Buff
is.
for silver?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very similar to that. And
it is.
but I
Um,
like it. I like it
yeah.
a lot.
So the Happy Extruder said he just subbed to your channel just now.
Wonderful. Thank
So
you. Good to have you on board.
so other Patreons, oh man. I say that again, going back to the whole whatever I think really as many that are out there now, whatever you're looking for is probably out there, with the exception of Egyptian archaeology.
It'll come.
but
It'll
but
come.
I think for the most part that if you have anything that you have your sight set on, that it's probably out there where you can obtain it, and the models are there. I mean, 3D printing is just gonna get that much bigger. Have you seen this? What is it? The one make printer that's like a 400 by 400 by 200 millimeter build plate on this thing. It's a, I think they're doing a Kickstarter for it right now, and it's just
Ah.
massive. It is humongous. So things like that. I mean, that's what we want. We want bigger build plates, but cheaper prices on the printer.
Yeah, we're moving in the right direction, aren't we? Things like auto leveling on PLA printers
Yeah,
is just, it's a godsend. What an amazing thing. So now, yeah, size. Yeah, size.
absolutely.
I agree.
So hey, we also have Jerry here from 3DHP just come on. Jerry's also got an awesome channel. He's got a Saturday chat. So if you really want to learn a lot of stuff, I mean, he's got like a gazillion people over there that gets on there, and all kinds of wealth of knowledge from those people. But Jerry runs a very good YouTube channel too. And so go over there and take a look at Jerry and check him out. He does a lot of different stuff over there, not just 3D printing, but he does a lot of CNC type stuff and everything. So glad to see you, Jerry. I appreciate it. So I think that, well, I would think personally that the probably the leading Patreon right now for us would be Wicked. But I have seen some of these well, not smaller patrons, but other patrons that I've never heard of before to have like 20,000 Patreon members. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
If
No.
I mean,
God.
that is insane. So a lot of these guys do Patreons because you can go ahead and just make one single file and send it out to hundreds of thousands of people if you need to. And I mean, it's just a really good way for those guys to make money, and at the same time it gives us files to print for our YouTube channels. So
The thing with Wicked, they are so interactive. They're so, I can't keep up with printing the amount that they actually give you. It is incredible. I don't think they sleep. It is just amazing. The value for me, I think it's about £8 a month, is incredible.
yeah,
Absolutely
I can tell
incredible.
you right now that Gabriel does not sleep. The man is a machine. It's like when they first started out, I think they probably had like 300 Patreons. Realistically, they were doing like one or two models a month, and that was like about a year or two ago, a couple of years ago. And now they're like 3,000, 4,000, something like that. And that's just with Wicked.
Mhm.
But I miss my conversations with Gabriel, because used to we would chat and everything and have good conversations. And now he's just so busy. I mean, I barely get to holler at him a little bit. But I sent him an invite to jump on tonight, and I see he's probably just too tied up. But that's unfortunate.
It's
I mean,
making a model somewhere.
oh, geez. And I think they work now with like 20 different artists.
Wow.
I think is what he said. They got like between all three patrons, like 20. I may be off a little bit, but I know he said at one point they had like around 20 to 30-ish people working for them. So that's just amazing. So I can only imagine, like if you have a Patreon and if you have like 10,000, 20,000 people, like some of these guys do, I mean, how many people do you have working for you?
Mm.
See, I mean, to keep up with the pace and everything. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I know that like when these guys that were doing, I can't remember the top of my head. It's on the tip of my tongue. These guys that were doing the snakes and the dragons and stuff like that. I can't remember their name, but man, they have like an enormous amount of patrons because of you get a product, you put it out there, people dig it, people like it,
Mm.
and then the next thing you know, it's just like pooh, it just explodes. So yeah, I mean, I can't fathom, but like, go ahead.
It's one of those things. It's the side of the 3D printing that amazes me. The people that actually create the models and make the models, I would not have a clue where to start with anything like that.
Yeah,
And that they're the true artists in this, aren't they? They make some absolutely amazing pieces, and you're quite right, Wicked as well, and stuff like you see the detail in some of the dragons. It's incredible, amazing. I don't know how they do it, and I'm in awe of them. Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, these guys. I mean, they spend like probably several weeks, maybe a month or so, whatever like that. I mean, with Wicked, coming up with these models, sometimes a little longer. I know that Gabriel told me that like the Thanos model they just did took like 6 weeks to
Wow.
do. So I mean that's a lot of detail in that model. And those guys who do that, like you said, they're like true artists. So Jerry says it was Flexi Factory. Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. I was on the tip of my tongue, but yeah, those guys, man, they really hit it out of the park with those dragons because those things were everywhere. I mean, I even printed out a couple of myself. They were sitting over here, and they're just neat, innovative sort of things, and it just catches the eye. And I mean, it's just awesome. But um, so let's see here. Master of the Universe patron. I agree. I'm a big He-Man fan, but I'll tell you something I really want. That's GI Joe. I'm a big GI Joe nut, and I know that Gabriel has said that they're probably going to be doing some of that. Now he does not say if it's going to be a separate Patreon or if they're going to include it with one of the others, but that is one that, man, if somebody did that up just right with all the characters that's in GI Joe, can you imagine like the
Yeah.
the Patreon, the library that you could have out of that?
It's not something I've ever got into, GI Joe. I don't know if it's not as big in the UK. Maybe I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Perhaps people can tell me. It's not something I've heard of it, and I've seen the films.
I
I
think
don't,
I
I
think you
don't know if
get
that's right.
what's real popular over there in the UK right now? Is it just maybe like I know minis are just exploding everywhere, but
Yeah, World of Warcraft is huge over here. It's
hmm
huge everywhere, isn't it? Um, but that's pretty much the biggest thing in the UK that I can think of anyway. We've got games workshops around where you can. There's a couple of geek retreats in the UK that I know of where you can go in and make World of Warcraft models and have little painting sessions and stuff like that. So that's fairly big over here.
so is are they do a lot of conventions and stuff over there with that sort of thing or
I don't know about conventions. I'm sure they do because I'm not into that. I probably am not the right person to ask, but
yeah.
I know that there's a big following for that. And if you can open a shop on a high street selling stuff like that, and have open days and open nights, it's big if that survives in the
I know
current
like
world.
all the comic stores around here, especially in my area, I mean they usually like weekends they run these games and stuff. I mean, it's just all nighters. And
Mm,
I can go back to when I was a teenager. Again, my friends would play D&D and stuff, and then they'd have like these lead figure. They look like lead. I don't know if they were lead or not, but they were the metal ones on the gaming things, and they were just totally just like just raw. And I would go, "What are you doing with those?" And like, "Well, we don't know how to paint." So I just took them and just painted like one or two of them. And the next thing I know, like, "Hey, Henry, can you paint this for me?"
And it's not a
But
5-minute job because they're
oh
really
no.
difficult and intricate.
Well,
Yeah.
I started with, I didn't have any paintbrushes, so I had toothpicks, and I used my friend's mother's fingernail polish. She had like black and red and blue and stuff, and so I was using it to just kind of dab on there. So that's, yeah, I'm showing my age now.
Bless
So
you.
let's see what
Toothpicks.
everybody
Love it.
else says. So Jerry says he also prints a lot of models from Sanix. Yes, because Jerry has a lot of stuff that he has done by them. Very good channel over there. So CY Wolf says Vengeance Studios looks like a cool, smaller Patreon with movies, games, and TVs. Yes. So I'm friends with Jordan, who runs that Vengeance Studios, and I've actually done a couple of their models, and they got some really neat stuff. Not just comic characters, but he also does movies and fantasy and all kinds of stuff. I think he's done and it was something I really need to check out. I think he's done like the Daniel Craig James Bond, which looks really really good. That would be an interesting one to print out. So yeah,
I think the other one just mentioned is games. I think that's going to be huge, and that is huge for
absolutely.
stuff. You know, the likes of Halo and the series The Last of Us at the moment, stuff like that, which is a game. I mean, those models have been out for a while, but I do enjoy game models as well. Do
Yeah, I mean,
Last of Us.
we got minis everywhere, but I just want to see more statues, more
Mm.
big figures and stuff like that. I would love to find somebody that's got a really decent Space Marine, that's printable or whatever.
Yeah,
But I think as soon as you do that, then Games Workshops probably shuts them down.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We actually have a Games Workshop headquarters here in Memphis, and it's got like when you walk in the door, they have like these life size. Well, I wouldn't say life size. They're probably about 6, 7 feet tall of these Space Marines, like in the entrance in the lobby. Pretty unique sort of thing. But I dig that sort of thing. I really
Mm.
like it. Um, so Beige Blends says if they do a nice Voltron, I print one 7 feet tall. So here's a little hint. My Patreon is going to have a Voltron pretty soon. I'm actually commissioned out a gentleman who is actually going to do a Voltron for us. So that's one thing that I kind of started to get into a little bit, working with a couple of artists to offer, something back to the members and everything. We actually have a model that's in the works right now. Of course, I'm a big Punisher fan, so it's got to be Punisher. But it is the Jim Lee Bad Night for the Ninjas. It's a lithograph that came out in the late '80s, and I actually have it hanging in my hallway right on the other side of this wall here. But he is doing the Punisher, and he's going to be doing Wolverine separately after he gets done with Punisher and stuff. So yeah, I'm starting to kind of get into a little bit of that for the Patreon members. But again, it takes a little bit to kind of work up to that because we do this as a labor of love, and if you don't get support, sometimes you can't really just dig in and out of your own hip pocket and make some of this stuff
What
happen.
amazed me was a guy commissioned me. He had some. Well, I've done the videos of the Batman and Catwoman and the MJ and Spider Man. He had those
Mhm.
commissioned and made, and he told me how much it cost him to have them made, and
It's
it is
insane.
very very expensive. So
Yeah, it is.
you can't just dip your hand in your pocket and get that kind of money out. Not
Right.
I
Yeah.
can't anyway.
So yeah, a lot of people don't see is like the side of the Patreon that exists of like we pay our 10, 15, $20 a month and we get these models
Hmm.
that we can print out. But what they don't see is how much the Patreon commissioners actually pay the artists to do these sort of things, because I know some of them can cost in the thousands of dollars.
Hmm.
I've actually, I follow an artist, and I'm not going to mention his name or anything like that. He probably wouldn't want me to, but I don't know. But anyway, he puts out some amazing work, and he did this Captain America, and it just blew me away. And so he had put on there that he was looking to sell it. And so automatically I'm curious. I'm like, I'm just curious how much he would like to, sell this for, or whatever. And is it a file that he's selling, individual file, or is he selling it as a commission piece? And he's selling it as a commission piece. $15,000 for this model.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my
Scary.
gosh, I'm in the wrong business. I need to learn ZBrush quick. But I mean, those guys, I mean, they can, it can get expensive. So I'm very thankful that we get really good models like from Wicked and Sanix and everything, because I can only imagine what those guys pay artists for. Now, if you're a Patreon and you do your own models to sell, then that's a totally different thing. But a lot of these guys like Wicked, man, they pump out models after models after models every single month. I know Nico, he has several that he pumps out every month, but I think it's just him. I don't think he has anybody else working with him. But that you got to stay busy if you're doing stuff like that. Absolutely. So let's see here. So
Something I just want to pick up on there. Somebody's mentioned Gears of War. Oh, wonderful models. I did a Marcus Phoenix, and I can't remember one of the bad guys. I'm showing my age now. I can't remember the senility's kicking in. But Gears of War, again, some brilliant models in that. Brilliant models out there from that.
And they've got all kinds of neat things. I like the weapons. I mean, that's just me. I love the weapons and everything. I don't know much about Gears of War. I'm sad to say. I mean, I'm not a gamer, so I'm more of a I'm a big horror fan, so I know a lot about horror. There's not a lot of patrons for that. I just think that people are more into the Marvel, DC sort of thing. And I mean, again, it's one of those things that sometimes people will do what sells and not necessarily what they really want to do. So I would love to see some nice horror models too. I mean, there's a few out there, but not very many. I know that Wicked did the Jack Torrance from The Shining, which is a brilliant model. I love it. And I printed the head, and that's as far as I got, because my wife is like, you need to catch up on your backlog of painting.
Well, that's the thing. It's expensive. Their resin is expensive, isn't it?
Yes.
And it takes a lot. I know you did a massive piece on one of your videos, and it must have cost you an arm and a leg. But, that's the thing. Resin is expensive. You do have to be a little bit picky what you print next.
So how expensive is resin in the UK? I imagine it's more expensive than here in the US.
1 litre is around about £25, just for basic Anycubic grey Elegoo basic, 25 quid.
Okay. So like over here, I mean, like I've been using Sunlu a lot, and I can get like 2 kilograms for about like $30, $30 US.
That's good.
And it's not bad. And actually Sunlu contacted me today, and they want to actually sponsor the channel.
Oh,
so
good news. Wonderful.
So we're going to see how that works out. I actually had a representative from Frozen 3D too, and they're wanting to sponsor. So I'm so blessed and so thankful that the channel's growing, and we're getting people recognizing and helping out and stuff, and that's awesome and stuff. And that's one of the things that allows me to do these big models that a lot of people probably wouldn't dare to do. I mean, not crazy like me, but I enjoy it. But you're right, it's expensive.
It's a full-time job, isn't it? 3D printing and doing videos is a full-time job, really.
It really is. And I know you work a full-time job. I work a full-time job, and then we come home, and then we're doing this right here. So again,
I'm kind of lucky. I'm semi-retired, so I'm kind of lucky. So I have a little bit more time than a full-time job, but I do understand. It's the hours that I put in doing this is ridiculous. But you do it for the love.
Absolutely. So Frag says Frozen Mega 8K is what you need, Henry. Well, guess what? They're sending me one. My wife is in there cringing right now. She's like, oh my God, where are we going to put another printer? I think that puts me up to around 13 or 14.
Oh, wow.
I have a Uniformation GK2 that's in my living room right now, still in the box, that I'm going to be doing a review on pretty soon. But yeah, and that no, that would mean 14 or 15 because I still have a couple other printers I just don't have the space for yet that are still in boxes.
I'm a little
Um,
bit behind you. I've got 3. I do not have the space for more. I have to rotate them through.
Right. I've got a couple that are down right now because they need screens, but I'm not going to do any printing right now until I get everything moved into my collection room. I got plenty to paint, so that's going to keep me busy for a while. But I think a lot of people don't really realize that. Well, I mean, a lot of these guys here that are on tonight with us realize, but a lot of other people don't realize how long it takes to paint a model, to print it,
Mm.
to prep it, primer and paint it, and then to film it. Granted, you can film some of the stuff while you're doing it, but some of the stuff you have to go back and edit to where, oh, I didn't get that shot. I need to redo it.
Mm.
That, like you said, it's a full-time job.
It's the
And
editing I find as well. That is, you can spend a day just editing something that you've done to make it, and then you realise your camera's off angle, or it's a bit blurred, or it's so you have to sort of go back and try and put that right, and it's difficult.
right,
Yeah,
right.
it's not
And
easy.
I know, like with somebody like Gabriel with Wicked, and maybe some other people with other Patreons and stuff. This is their full-time job.
Mm.
Because I mean, designing models, that's no easy feat. I mean, you're probably putting in a good solid 6 to 8 hours a day designing a model for over a
Mm.
month until you get it finished and everything. And what do you do in a Patreon if you put that model out and your members don't like it?
Mm.
I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, granted, you're only doing it for $10 per person, but if you put a model out there that they don't like, they're gonna unsubscribe from you. And it's
Mm.
kind of like what we do. If we do something that the people don't like, then they unsubscribe from us. I mean, which for me that's fine because I like doing what I'm doing.
Mm.
But when you're in a Patreon, you it's like you have to do what customers like, and yeah. So Happy Extruder says he is one more machine from being evicted by the wife. Oh man, I have to say, and I'm not saying this because my wife is on here, but I'm saying my wife is so supportive, but she's kind of like just does the whole, oh my God, why are you printing something again? You have so much you have to paint.
I don't think we could do this if we didn't have a supportive wife
No,
or
I
significant
tell
other.
you, my wife is so wonderful,
Yeah,
and a
I'm
couple
so
of the
lucky.
guys on
Yeah.
Patreon have actually had conversations or whatever like that, or know my wife. She's been on there a couple of times that I've talked with people, and they know how supportive she is, and I'm very fortunate for that. So,
And my wife's my biggest critic. If I do something and I'll say, "What do you think of that?"
yep,
Thinking this is really good, she'll go, "I don't like that. Your eyes are wrong. The
yep,
hair's the wrong color." And that's great
exactly,
because when she says it's good, I know it's good.
exactly. My wife she'll look at something, she'll go, I'll always know that there's some issue with it because I might be painting, and she'll like kind of over my shoulder, which she knows that kind of bothers me sometimes. But she'll look at it, and I'll stop, and she'll just keep looking at it, and then she'll say something like, "Oh, that doesn't look right," and I'm like, "Oh my God, really?"
I did
But
the
I
Bucky
listen to what.
Barnes one this time, and I thought it looked great. And she went, "The hair's the wrong color." It was like, oh. But when your wife knows that Bucky Barnes' hair is the wrong color, that's the right wife.
So this is what my beloved wife says. I just fear your backlog because backlogs stress me out. So, and she knows that I have a lot, but she knows that I enjoy doing what I'm doing. And I don't always have the time to sit down and just paint. I wish I did,
Mm.
because, I work 8 hours a day, 9 sometimes. But my wife works a lot, and so a lot of times when we come home, it's in the evening time, and it's time to get dinner. By the time we get dinner, then it's basically time for bed, and I don't have a lot of time to sit down and just paint. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of times where I don't feel like it. I mean, I don't know about you, but if I don't feel like it, I don't do it because I don't want to get burned out.
Yeah,
I
it's not. It
mean,
should never be a chore. If you know, I'm lucky. It's very rare I feel like that, but there are times when I've printed something off, and you think, oh, I really don't want to start that. I really don't know where to start that. But when it becomes a chore, it's time to just put the brakes on, stop, and just make sure, you
yeah.
know.
And that's what I tell everybody in the Patreon. I tell everybody, you know, if there's comes a time where you can sit down for 10, 15 minutes and maybe just dab a little bit of paint on a piece and sit back and go, you know what, I'm done already. Then that's what you need to do, is just kind of walk away, because that's the last thing that I really want to do, is just get burned down on this, because I enjoy it so much. Um, and with printing, the same thing. I mean, because I like to print because I like to see it come to life,
Mm.
and I like to see things in front of me and kind of visualize it before I paint it. And it may be like a month or 2 or 3 months before I decide, oh, I'm going to paint that piece today. I have a really good idea for it. So I guess that's one of the reasons why I have like a massive backlog too, is because I'll paint it, or I'll print it out, and I'll have a really good idea for it, and I'll just be like not so sure, and then I'll just back away from it, and then eventually jump back on it at a later time. But I don't force myself to do any of that sort of thing.
Yeah, and I know the people in the hobby understand, but I don't think your friends who don't know the 3D printing game think it just suddenly appears. They don't realize, you know, the work in the background and all the
Right,
stuff on the computers and the printing and the cleaning and the processing, and they don't understand that side of it, and the time consuming and
right.
the messy, smelly bits of it.
Yeah, and it's like, you could just have the best looking piece there, but if you're just not feeling it for some reason,
Mm.
you just don't get into it, because you'll screw it up. And when you screw it up, this just makes, I just don't want to do it anymore. Because I've done that to a couple of pieces. I don't know if you have or not, but there's been a part where I get into it and I'm thinking, oh, everything's going really good. I'll back away from it. The next day I'll come and look at it, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just messed that up. That looks horrible. And
Mm.
then I just get frustrated and I just won't do it at all. I have a
Mm.
couple of pieces over here right now. I started on Star Lord last year, and the Wicked piece from them, and it's sitting over here, and I haven't touched it. I did the head, and I was trying to get a color mixed up for the coat, because it's like a leather
Yeah,
red color or whatever.
yeah.
It's like an odd
It's like a
color.
burgundy red, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. And then I put a little bit on that model, and I don't like it. And so I
Mm.
reprimered it, and I haven't touched it since. Oh my God.
And that's why I like to do the stuff that I like to do, because if you're
Yeah.
doing stuff for other people, and you're not into that, it starts to, you don't enjoy it as much.
Right. It really kind of just, you just put it on the back burner and you never get back to it
Mm.
again. Um, so what is this here? People that want to buy your work. So this is true. This is one of the things, and this is one of the reasons why I don't do commission work.
Yeah,
People that want to buy your work doesn't understand the time, materials, or skill that they see when they see the
absolutely.
price. So first and foremost, if I were to do a commission piece, it's not going to be cheap. And what's that old saying? Cheap paint's not good. Good paint's not cheap, sort of thing. That's kind of like what I was taught a long time ago. If you're doing something that you're good at, or that looks good, or whatever you take pride in, you should get paid for it. But that's one of the reasons why I don't really do commission pieces, because
Mm.
again, people are picky, and they want to kind of get something for, and they don't, when they get sticker shock whenever they see some of this stuff. I mean, like, we look at like a lot of the mass production statues that Sideshow, Prime One, and all them put out for $1,000 or whatever. That's not what gets me. The shipping prices are what get me. But a lot of people don't understand that, even though it's a production piece, there's still people who hand paint this stuff. This stuff
Mm.
doesn't go through a machine and all of a sudden it's just done. I mean, there's people in a factory that sit there and hand paint all this stuff. So the prices um, sometimes get justified, but when you're doing a piece like what we do, you're printing it out, you're taking the time and doing it yourself. You're not mass producing people. You don't have a big row of people doing this. It's
Mm.
one person, one model, and they want to commission a piece from you, and you say, okay, X amount of dollars for this. And they just go, oh my gosh, no
Mm.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
I just rather not fool with it.
And I understand, because you're looking at 2-3 days work. You know, if you looked at the hours,
Mhm.
um, you've got to buy the piece, and you have to buy the piece from a legitimate source, which means you pay a little bit more for it, which is really important. How much do these people earn in 2 or 3 days? You know, it's
Right.
I can't do. I can't charge people hundreds of pounds to paint things, and people won't pay that. So I'd rather not do it. I'd rather not
Right.
put myself in it. I'll
And
do it
that's
for
what,
friends and I'll do it for family, but I won't make a business. I won't even try to do that. It's not for me.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, and that's the good thing about having a Patreon, like we're kind of talking about tonight, because you have options. I mean, you have these people that do all the guesswork for you. You just print and paint.
Mm.
I mean, and just have fun with it. Just be fine with what you're doing, and you don't have to worry about buying a mass-produced piece and paying thousands of dollars for it. You got your machine that you can print and print and print. You're paying like a nominal fee every month for a Patreon for somebody who's doing the designing for you, and just have fun with it. And I think that's super important that you're doing what you want to do. And if you want to paint commissions, that's on you. You know, that's one thing that you have to understand, that once you start, then it's like you're getting ready to putting on a hurting on yourself a lot of times, because it's starting to take the fun out of what you want to do for your own collection. So and that's one thing I don't want to do. I'd rather just paint for me. And if I decide that, hey, I don't want a piece or something like that, I'll give it away. That way nobody can come at me and fuss at me and go, oh, that looks horrible. I don't like that. You charge me too much money for that, something to that nature. And I just don't want to fool with it.
It's not worth the aggravation, is it? It really
No,
isn't.
that's another thing that would really throw me over the edge, where I just wouldn't want to do it anymore. If I had somebody like that would be like, oh, I just don't like this, and redo it and repaint this, because I've been through that before, and it would just make you to where, like, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore. If this is what it's going to be like, forget it. And I don't want to go through that. So that's why I just don't do commissions or anything. I love the Patreons. I love exploring what people have to offer. And if it's something that really hits me, then I'll sign up. I'll get a model. I'll paint it for me. And that's it. I mean, that's what I'm doing.
And if there's a little imperfection in it, which, when we all make a model, there's always an imperfection in it.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter, does it? It's yours. You can live with it. It's part of the uniqueness of it. But you try to sell that doesn't work.
Right, right.
I
mean, it's just like, I'm looking at this Punisher model right here, and it's all black right now. And I'll see if I can pull it off here. And I see imperfections. I've been looking at this thing for the past 3 weeks, and I've gotten to some point to where I have not finished it.
Wow, that's beautiful.
But I like it the way it is. I don't even know if I want to put the skull on there. I just kind of dig it the way it is. It's got interchangeable heads. And like, let me show you this. So this is something, what I try to do is, when I have imperfections in a model, I don't go crazy and go, oh my God, I got to reprint that. I try to make it work to my advantage. Like this model here on the back, I don't know if you could probably see it, but there was a hole that printed right, that just didn't print.
That's a bullet hole.
It's a bullet hole.
Yeah,
that's exactly
absolutely
right. And there's like a couple of other spots on this, and I look at that and I'm going, automatically, boop, light bulb goes off. Hey, it's mine. So I'm going to make this unique. This is what I'm going to do. And I can't do that with somebody else's model that I'm painting for them. This is something that I would probably have to wind up repainting or reprinting or patching it up with a bunch of putty, and then they probably still won't like it.
I did one that called The Hunt for Medusa, I think the model was called. It's a beautiful piece, but there were a few imperfections in the printing of it. A finger hadn't printed and there was a gash in it. But because it's a model that depicts her being hunted and there's an arrow sticking out of her back, I just turned it into part of the model and added some blood where the finger was, so it looks like there's an injury and there's a gash on the shoulder. But for me, for my model, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Works.
For somebody else, I mean, they would probably just go, oh, that's not what I saw. Or,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, anyway, I like doing what we're doing. I really definitely would love to continue doing this and everything. And hey, guys, if you are just coming on, we do have Tony here from Greedy 3D. Greedy 3D is a YouTube channel out there. Tony does some awesome stuff over there. He just released a new video for Winter Soldier. Go over and check it out. Sub to Tony's channel. It's important that we all stick together. he does some really good stuff over there. He is from the UK, and I appreciate him coming on here with us tonight. We're just talking a little bit about patrons. We kind of got a little off topic, but that's okay. When we have guests over here and everything, it's kind of like a free for all. I think a lot of the guys that are on here really appreciate somebody coming on and kind of getting a different perspective of what we do here and answering questions for them. So I appreciate you coming on aboard, Tony.
That's a
So
pleasure.
does anybody have any questions they would love to ask Tony regarding his channel, what he does, what's his next project? He might have something in the works that he's working on. Do you have anything that you'd like to talk to us about that you're working on right now?
I'm at that stage at the moment where I'm not sure what's next. Yeah, I was looking for a bit of inspiration. I think I want to do a Star Wars model, so I'm going
Okay.
to do something Star Wars. They've probably been done to death, but it's for me. I want to do it. I'll enjoy doing it, and I'll film myself doing it. So I think I'm going to do a Star Wars model because I haven't done one of those for a long, long time. But I don't really go ahead with a plan. I never really have a plan. Things just
Yeah.
materialize, like the Winter Soldier from seeing your video on the graphite powder. I like it when things like that just come into fruition. Somebody a few weeks ago on the channel said, "Why don't you do a power loader from Aliens?" That's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? So I'll kind of let things rotate and flow through as they develop. Really, there's no evolution to it. It's just whatever comes into my head or someone suggests. What about you? Have you got a plan? What are you doing next?
So here's a challenge for you, Tony.
Oh, yeah, that's a big challenge. Not cell shading. Yeah.
He is adamant about me doing one of these tutorials on this thing, and I will do one. I'm still looking for like just the perfect model to do it and something that I would just enjoy doing. I see there's one gentleman, I think he's got an Instagram account that he does a lot of the DBZ
He's
stuff.
done the Hulk as well, hasn't he?
Oh my
He's
God. And it
done
just looks
Colossus.
amazing.
I'm amazed. I'm blown away by it. I'd love to have a go at it. But you look at it and you think, that can't be too hard, right?
Oh,
no, wow. Wouldn't have a clue.
As simplistic as it may look, it is very difficult. I mean, there's a lot. I can tell you there's a lot that goes into that. With all the lines have to be crisp and clean in order to get the proper shading and to make it look just proper. Because I mean, if you kind of go out of the realm a little bit or whatever, then it's just going to look just not good at all. It doesn't look sharp or whatever. But he does an amazing job, and you can tell he's been doing it for a while. So absolutely. So yeah, I know he's pulling our leg. He said, he says, where's he at? So yeah, he's a good guy.
I love dry brushing just rocks.
Yeah, so dry brushing drives you crazy. I love to dry brush. Let me tell you what I love to do. And I every video I think I've done, and that's washes. I love to do washes. I wash just about everything. So some people have their little niche that they love to do in their paint jobs and stuff. Mine is washes. So
I'm exactly the same. I won't do any leather brown without a dark wash over it. It's and again, washes on faces when you're doing skin tones, so important.
Right. So Joseph has a question for you. Do you have any specific places that you get your STLs from, or pretty much the same as what I use?
Pretty much the same. Yeah, it's usually from the Patreons, usually from Wicked. I try to get from legitimate sources. I think when I first started 3D printing, I didn't realize, and I'll put my hands up to it, that I thought a 3D file was just you bought it from anywhere and that was fine. It's not till a little bit later on you realize that there are a lot of people out there that will sell files really, really, really cheaply, and they've stolen them from somebody else. So I think it's really important to buy them from legitimate sources. Otherwise, the legitimate sources won't make them and we won't get files to print.
Yeah, like stay away from Etsy. I mean, that's a weird place right there. I mean, buy a file for 90 cents or $1.25. You know it's not legit. So absolutely. Well, all right. So I guess we're coming up on an hour and 15 minutes. So I guess we'll open up a little Q&A here. I know we probably got a little off topic, but I think we had some great conversation with Tony and a couple other people that popped on here. And go over and check out Tony's channel, Greedy 3D. I'll put a link in the description and everything after we get done with the video on the playback, so you guys can go check him out. Does some amazing work over there, some really cool stuff, and definitely give him a shout. let him know that you saw him on the Creative Collector live stream. But
Wonderful.
enjoyed having you, Tony. I appreciate you coming on board,
Oh no,
especially
it's
as
been a
late as it
great.
is over there in the UK. Let's see.
There's one there that's LED. I'm assuming that means LED lighting into your models.
I guess. So LEDs are really funny. I mean, I want to put LEDs in everything, but it's just when you start doing the model and as much as you get into it, you just realize, yeah, it's not happening.
Mm. The amount of work to put LEDs in is amazing. I did a Darth Vader. You're saying about models you started. I did a Darth Vader, and I put all the wiring in to do the lightsaber, and then I didn't know how am I going to do this lightsaber, and in the end, that's one of the models I parked in the drawer that's never going to be opened again. So it's not easy. But I did use LEDs on the Red Skull, on the Tesseract.
I saw that. That looked
I
really cool.
loved that. I loved that model, and I thought it came out really well. I was so pleased with it.
So the Tesseract, they actually hollowed it out so you can actually fit an LED in
Yeah,
it.
yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, when the artist does something like that, it makes it so much easier. Then, it just makes it that much better for you to do.
And I found some flickering LEDs, some blue flickering ones on eBay, and that was perfect.
Yeah. So my next project that I'm probably going to just fill full of LEDs is the Tengen Portal from Black Forge Games. I did Tengen and a couple of the you can see in the back on this side the Panther that I did a while like last year, and I've got a couple more to do. And the Portal is just taking forever to do because I always get wrapped up in other projects. But that Portal that I want to do it's a 200% scale, so it's going to be massive.
Wow.
And I'm definitely going to LED that thing out like crazy. So, so Beige Blend says when he retired from the Navy, he started a cake decorating business, and people want Cake Boss cakes for Walmart prices. Exactly, that's kind of like what we were talking about.
I've got a friend that makes cakes. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
I got a couple of people. I know a couple of people that own a catering business, and I got one friend that I went to school with years ago, and she just started a company last year, and she's always posting on Facebook about the headaches that she goes through, and I just don't want to do it. So, oh yeah, here's good information. So Joseph says that some of the cosplay guys and miniature terrain builders have great tutorials using LEDs.
Frankly, Built does some great stuff.
Yeah, he does some awesome stuff. I mean, that takes some patience to do a full Iron Man cosplay suit.
Oh yeah,
And
with
to
all the
make
electronics.
all the electronics, mechanics, and everything that he does in there. He's very innovative. So that's a good channel, a good example right there too. Yeah.
But electronics again, that's another field that it's a minefield, and thank God for YouTube, I guess, for to learn how to do that sort of stuff. But
I am totally ignorant when it comes to electronics. I'm not an electronics guy. I mean, if I watch a video and get an idea of how to do something, I can copy it, do it, or whatever. But to sit there and think of that and just put it out there, like in something like Frankly Built does, I couldn't do it. I mean, it's just not my wheelhouse at all. But it's people are getting smarter and with what they're doing as far as the cosplay builds, as far as the statue builds. I want to do a video. Can't really talk about it, but how to enhance a statue in certain aspects, and that's coming down the pipeline too. I'm just kind of putting everything together. But I see a lot of these guys that use a lot of, hold on one second. I got somebody that's a comedian here. So I see a lot of these guys that use things like LEDs, that use different terrain elements and stuff into their statues, their 3D printed statues. Like a lot of your production companies wouldn't do anything like that. I mean, it would be I don't know if too risky or just wouldn't look right, or maybe that's just not in their wheelhouse to do. But that's another good thing about 3D printing your own model is you can do something like that. So
yeah,
absolutely. All right. So I think we pretty much have wrapped up just about everything. I think we've answered some questions for you guys. And if there's anything else that you can think of, by all means, put them in the comments. And I definitely appreciate you coming aboard there, Tony. You guys definitely go check out Tony's channel. Is there any parting words that you would have for the viewers, Tony?
I just want to thank you for inviting me over to your channel. I think when we start off with this the 3D printing, I look up to guys like you, and Ground Affected is another one that I follow quite a lot. So to be invited over is just absolutely marvelous. So thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate it.
No,
You
I
are
really
welcome here anytime,
do.
sir.
Thank you. Yeah, could you make it a bit earlier?
I will
No,
try.
I know you probably can't because you work for a living, but
I
yeah,
usually so like I'm off on Wednesdays, so that's why I do the live streams on Wednesdays. I thought about maybe doing them like on like Saturday mornings, but that taps into my wife and I coffee
yeah,
time,
yeah.
you know, so that's really like the only day that we really get to spend together to way we can kind of do our own thing. And again, you know, with me, it's about, you know, I'm not going to jeopardize my time with
You
my
can't.
family and everything, you know. I mean, that's
It's more
super
important.
important to me. But
Absolutely.
I really enjoy doing what I do and connecting with people, and she knows that. So we don't have a lot of other opportunities to, because she works all the time. I do too. So Sunday's kind of like our day.
Yeah, you need that. You
So
need that.
Joseph wants to know what part of the UK are you in?
I'm from Worcestershire, a little place called Astley-Burf, which is just outside Stourport-on-Severn. You may never have heard of those things,
I've
but
never heard of them.
I've certainly heard of Crawley.
Awesome. All right. So everybody, I appreciate you guys tuning in with us tonight and everything. We're about an hour and 22 into it. I'm just going to call it a night. I know Tony's probably beat. It's late where he's at. So again, thank you, sir, for tuning
Thanks
in
for the
with
invite.
us and taking the
Good to meet you
time.
guys. Thanks for coming along. Good to meet you
And
all.
definitely go and check out Tony's channel. If you haven't already, go do it. And Tony, do you have a sign off that you typically do on your videos or anything?
No, not really. No, I've got nothing apart from I'll see you next time, hopefully,
Okay,
if you come back.
absolutely. So, all right, guys. So you guys know the drill. Make sure if you're just now tuning in, you haven't been to my channel or even Tony's channel, go over,
I
subscribe to
see.
the channel, and hit that notification bell. You don't miss out on any future videos. Both of our channels have some really awesome stuff that's going to be coming up, and I know Tony is pumping out videos. I'm pumping out videos, and Joseph said he just subscribed to you, Tony. So that's one more
Thank you.
subscriber you got.
Every one of you helps. Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, you guys know the
Great to have you
drill.
on
Get
board.
out and create something. Print, prep, paint, repeat. And until the next live stream, everybody, we'll see you. And thank you, Tony.
Thank you. See you later, guys.